Thank you for tuning in to Looney Libs, a channel dedicated to exposing the lunacy of the left. Adam Schiff is back at it again, doing what he does best, creating partisan investigation teams bent on taking down President Donald Trump. After Pearl Harbor and 9/11, we looked at what went wrong to learn from our mistakes. Once we've recovered, we need a nonpartisan commission to review our response and how we can better prepare for the next pandemic. I'm working on a bill to do that. Brought to you by the same man who said this.
Shorn of its rambling character and in not so many words, this is the essence of what the President communicates. We've been very good to your country, very good. No other country has done as much as we have. But you know what? I don't see much reciprocity here. I hear what you want. I have a favor I want from you, though. And I'm going to say this only 7 times, so you better listen good. I want you to make up dirt on my political opponent, understand lots of it. On this and on that, I'm going to put you in touch with people, and not just any people. I'm going to put you in touch with Attorney General of the United States, my Attorney General, Bill Barr. He's got the whole weight of the American law enforcement behind him. And I'm going to put you in touch with Rudy. You're going to love him, trust me. You know what I'm asking, and so I'm only going to say this a few more times, in a few more ways. And by the way, don't call me again. I'll call you when you've done what I asked.
This man has no shred of honesty within his whole body. This was a completely fabricated story he recited on congressional floor and stated it as if it was fact. This is the man who thinks the American people will trust him with a nonpartisan investigation? He's literally been doing these nonpartisan investigations for 3 years, trying to get the president impeached. Anyways, with some backstory out of the way, let's see what Schifty has to say.
When do you expect a 9/11 style commission would be able to begin going to work in this situation?
You know, that's really the most difficult question that we've been wrestling with. We're using the 9/11 legislation as our model. We adopt the same appointment mechanism to make the commission as nonpartisan and apolitical as possible. The commission won't involve any current elected officials, anybody currently working in the government or at the time of the commission's formation. But the most difficult challenge is, when should they begin their work? We want to make sure their work doesn't interfere at all in the response. We want to make sure that it doesn't have a political cast to it. And so one of the things that we're considering is having the commission formed after the election.
Did you catch that? Schifty Schiff says he's going to consider to wait until after the election, which loosely translates to, I'm going to leak another hit piece to CNN.
Having it certainly not make its report until well into the new year. After all, the 9/11 Commission itself wasn't established by legislation until more than a year after 9/11. So we may have the start date as late as early next year. But we really want to make this as objective as possible, because we want the recommendations to come out of it to be accepted by the public. And if it has any veneer of a partisan aspiration, it won't have the same level of public acceptance.
Well, you're right about that, Pencil Neck. It won't have the public's acceptance, especially not after the theatrics you pulled just a few months ago. Roll the clip.
Our founders understood that a president like Donald Trump might one day grasp the reins of power. An unremorseful, overreaching executive, faithful to himself only, and willing to sacrifice our democracy and national security for his own personal advantage. His pattern of conduct, repeatedly soliciting foreign interference in our elections for his own benefit, confirms that he will stop at nothing to retain his power. He willfully chose to place his own personal interests above the country's and the integrity of our elections. There is every reason to believe that will continue.
There was so much projection from that speech, I thought the ghost of Tupac was going to perform next.
What are the main issues you would think a commission like this would be looking at?
I don't think
we're reviewing, for example, as part of our oversight function, what the Intelligence Committee knew and what it was reporting early on. And I think we're going to have to examine, does the intelligence community need to give greater attention to health threats when it's traditionally focused more on hard targets, on terrorism? And I think that's just one small piece of it. But the commission ought to look at the overall whole of government response, its lack of preparedness, and how we can assure this doesn't happen to the country again.
I would actually agree with Schiff on this if I thought the Democrats were capable of being honest about this issue. Trump created the task force back at the end of January while being impeached by these clowns through February. On top of that, he banned travel to and from China, and the Democrats unilaterally took to social media to screech about how racist Trump's actions were. Trump is the poster boy for calling out China, or as he'd say, China. Could you imagine how the Democrats would have reacted if he banned travel earlier than he did? Seriously, Schiff would have been calling him a racist during the impeachment trial, and he would have drafted another article about his clear and blatant xenophobia.
Mitch McConnell said that he believes that the impeachment trial in the Senate slowed down the federal government's response to the pandemic. What's your response to that?
Yeah, the president said something similar, which, was an interesting acknowledgement that the administration has screwed up this response.
Are you serious? Adam Schiff, you spearheaded the impeachment inquiry, lied about Trump's actions on congressional floor, and wasted the time and energy of every Republican and Democrat up until Trump was acquitted in February. Schiff not thinking his investigations have anything to do with our response times is kind of like a boss putting a car tire lock on your Volvo and wondering why you're showing up to work late.
And I think the facts are quite clear that the president's weeks-long, maybe months-long delay in taking this seriously has had catastrophic consequences that we're only now beginning to see the scope of. But they should stop making excuses. The president found plenty of time, even during the impeachment trial and its prefatory period, to play golf, to go on vacation at Mar-a-Lago, to do campaign rallies. He clearly wasn't distracted from doing the things that he loves to do. But the bigger problem is, even after the trial was over, the president continued for weeks and weeks to say, this is no problem. He's got it under control. He's got it contained. And that this isn't going to have a big impact on the country.
God forbid our president tries to give us some hope during these trying times. But the real question we gotta ask is, when was the first time you acknowledged the coronavirus? So let's look at Adam Schiff's Twitter. What was he doing when Trump was putting the travel ban on China and creating the coronavirus task force? Impeachment. He was talking about more impeachment. More impeachment. Looks like every day he's focused on impeachment. It's actually not until... Wow, you still haven't talked about the coronavirus at all. So, if we scroll all the way up to February 25th, that's the first time Adam Schiff even acknowledges this threat.
The do-nothing Democrats, and they are do-nothing. All they want to do is focus on this. What they could be doing are declaring their deep hatred and disdain for the American voter.
get over it.
My final takeaway from this is that if we did have a slow response time to the coronavirus, it was because the Democrats, half of Congress, was solely focused on impeaching this president while we were trying to get work done. I honestly cannot imagine how much more outrage they would have shown if Trump put these travel bans in place earlier than he did. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Looney Libs, and as always, please leave a like, comment, and share this video. Also, please ring the notification bell because every single engagement on this channel will help me expand and grow. Alright, I'm going to get back out there making more content for y'all. Peace.
Get over it.